Hi guys, me Ty here, and today I'm going to talk about should you buy a CVT transmission. And first of all, I'm going to explain exactly what a CVT transmission. It's essentially a snowmobile transmission. And for any of you guys that have grown up around snowmobiles like I have, how a snowmobile works is you have a set of shivs, just a pulley, and then you have your long snowmobile belt inside the engine compartment there. And we usually always have a second one in there with us in case that one breaks or goes bad. And with that centrifugal clutch on that engine, what happens is when you give the snowmobile, if it's because they don't have uh, like a gear shifter or nothing like that on them. So when it's idling, the snowmobile will not move. But it's got a centrifugal clutch on the end of the engine there. And what happens is when you go and give press the accelerator lever there, it goes ahead and it forces the centrifugal clutch weights out and it pushes the shiv together, and that goes ahead and it grips the sides of your snowmobile belt, and then it'll start moving. And based on how many RPM you get it, if you press harder on the gas pedal, it'll press harder and make it grip harder. And with that, there's a lot of slippage of the belt, and so it wears very fast. And then also you have that lag too. So what happens is you hop on your snowmobile and you just give it the beans, and the engine will just rev up, but the thing doesn't move, and then all of a sudden, slowly it starts moving. And that's how it works with. It's the same concept with your CVT transmissions. Like I test drove a brand new, I think it was like a 2021 Honda HRV, and I absolutely hated it. I gave it the beans at a stoplight, and the engine was roaring just like a snowmobile, but it wasn't moving. And then finally, it just slowly started to move. And I was like, okay, maybe this is just when you're starting out. So I took it out around for a drive around the city, and I was going 25 miles an hour, and I was going to make a right-hand turn, and I was going to give it the beans going into the turn because that's always kind of fun. Get, I'm partway into the turn, and I go and just give it the beans, and the engine just started roaring, and it did not speed up at all. Absolutely zero responsiveness, anything. It didn't do a damn thing. So CVTs, they're cheap for the manufacturers to make. Like I said, they wear really fast because the difference between a car CVT and a snowmobile uses a rubber belt, but with a car CVT, they use a metal chain inside of there. And with that pushing on the shivs, uh, that belt is always wearing, just like that metal belt is wearing, just like a rubber belt would. So you're getting lots of metal shavings just going down into the oil pan there, and that's why um, with a traditional automatic transmission, they always said change it every 50,000 miles. I've gone 200,000 without changing them, been fine. But I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I do agree that you should do it every 50,000. But with a CVT, you can't get by with that because there's so much metal shavings being produced. Every 30,000 miles, they recommend draining out your CVT transmission oil and putting new stuff in. It's just a very, um, it's an added expense. And then with most of the CVTs, like the Hondas, they don't have a dipstick on top. So if you have a transmission that leaks, which a lot of people do, and you just keep adding tranny oil, you don't have a dipstick to keep an eye on and just keep adding it. So it's a pain in the butt there. So, and then CVTs are way more expensive to replace when they go out than a traditional automatic transmission. You're looking at $6,000 to $10,000 for a CVT transmission easily. So, uh, and that's not something you want to buy from a junkyard because chances are the whole reason the car went to a junkyard is because the CVT was bad, because usually that's the weakest link in the powertrain. So if you guys like this content, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll just keep kicking out these money saving videos for you guys. All right, take care. Bye.